Hello dear students, welcome to the YouTube channel of Hasmukh Goswami College of Engineering. Myself, Professor Tanmay Kumar Pandit, and I will teach you the physics subject in your degree engineering course. So, today in this class, we are going to study about the solar cells. As you all know that the largest source of energy in the universe is the solar energy. So, how can one utilize this extremely large source of energy and in terms of the electrical energy? So we have the instruments that has been fabricated by one of you engineers, and hence today we will study about this particular topic. So in order to start the solar cell topic, first of all we have to understand the basic effect of photovoltaic effect, that is the photon energy usage. The solar radiations, as you have seen in this picture, the solar radiations will interact with the solar panel, and then you will get able to convert the solar energy into electrical energy. So this effect of conversion of solar energy into electrical energy is known as photovoltaic effect. The solar radiation, you can also consider it as a photon energy source. So, as I mentioned, the photovoltaic effect is the creation of voltage and electric current in a material upon exposure of light. Light is nothing but the source of photon energy, and you will able to design or to produce voltage or electric current by an exposure of this light source. It is a physical and chemical phenomenon. So this is the combination of physics and chemistry. The photovoltaic effect was first discovered by Alexander Edmund Becquerel in 1839 in a junction. Junction is the contact which was formed between electrode which was formed of platinum and an electrolyte which is silver chloride. The first solid state photovoltaic device, at that time the photovoltaic effect was already discovered, but the actual usage of photovoltaic effect into the real life application was first made by Russell Ohl in 1939, exactly after a century when the photovoltaic effect was discovered, and this was formed using a silicon which is a semiconductor p-n junction. So p-n junction is a combination of positive and negative terminals, so that is of holes and electrons respectively. Solar cells and photodetectors are devices that convert an optical input. Optical input means what? The light rays which are interacting with your photovoltaic devices, so into current. So these are the devices with which we can directly convert the solar energy into electrical energy. Here, the photodetectors and solar cell, these are the two different things or two different devices. Photodetectors can only detect the photon rays or the solar radiations, but the solar cell will also detect the photon rays as well as it will convert the photon energy into electrical energy. So that is one advantage of solar cell with respect to the photon detectors. A solar cell is an example of photovoltaic device on which the photovoltaic effect phenomenon is already present. That is a device that generates voltage when exposed to light, that I have already discussed. The functioning of a solar cell is similar to the photodiode, that is a photodetector. The working is similar, but the usage, the applications are the different things. It is a photodiode that is unbiased. Unbiased means what? You are not applying any external voltage to the solar cell. Remember, this is very important. Unbiased means we are not applying any external voltage, we are not connecting any external electric energy source, because the concept is to convert the light energy, the photon energy, to an electrical energy. And that's why this is most important thing in which the solar cells are really active and connected to a load. Why this load is necessary? Load is also known as impedance. The amount of solar energy which will interact with our photovoltaic device, that is the solar cell, the amount may be quite large, and hence to maintain the durability, the stability of our solar cell, we have to add some amount of load into it. Next, if we look at the major differences between the solar cell and photodetectors, so we will go briefly, we will see only three qualitative differences between the solar cell and the photodetectors. So, a photodiode works on a narrow range of wavelength. When I am considering the narrow range of wavelength, consequently I am considering the narrow range of frequencies also. While solar cells need to work over a broad spectral range that is known as a solar spectrum. So, solar radiations exhibiting a wide range of frequency, and that's why the solar cells are designed in such a way that it can detect, of course, all type of frequencies of photon radiations. Solar cells are typically wide area devices to maximize exposure. See, we need to have a large amount of energy, of solar energy, to be interacted with our devices. Why? Because we want to generate the high amount of electricity, okay, in terms of electric current as well as electric voltage. And that's why a wide area is needed. So, the area of coverage should be very large. In photodiodes, the metric is quantum efficiency. So, the area will be quite smaller compared to that of solar cell, which defines the signal to noise ratio. This is very important. While for solar cells, it is the power conversion efficiency, which is the power delivered per incident solar energy. So these were three qualitative differences between a solar cell and a photodetector. Now, we will look at the construction of solar cell. In this particular video, we are going to see three major things. One we have already seen, that is the principle of solar cell on which these devices are working. So that was the photovoltaic effect. Now our target is to determine the solar cell construction. So what are the different areas? So here in this image you can easily see the construction of a solar cell. It is a simple p-n junction diode, where here you can see the P substrate, here this is the N substrate, where N-type silicon is overlapped to the P-type silicon. When I am talking about the N-type silicon, remember there are majority charge carriers of electrons in this junction, and in this P-type silicon we have the holes, that means the neutral charges, or we can say the positive charges of P-type silicon in the lower layer of solar cell. So, a simple solar cell is nothing but a p-n junction diode. The N region is heavily doped. Heavily doped means what? The higher amount of charge carrier concentration have been imported into it, and that's why we have used the word heavily doped. So, we can consider the higher amount of electrons in this particular area where there is an N-type silicon. Now, it is quite thin, so the thickness is quite small, and so that the light can penetrate through it easily. As we can see from this figure, the N-type silicon is the first interaction area where the solar light will interact. So that's why we have kept the thickness of this N-type silicon quite smaller. That's why the reason is we want the maximum amount of light to penetrate through it. Now, the P region, that is the positive hole region, is lightly doped. So, in order to the higher amount of electrons, we have kept the less amount of holes, that means a positive carrier concentration in P-type silicon. The reason will be discussed briefly in the working section of solar cell. So that most of the depletion region lies in the P-side material. Depletion region, this is the quite interesting thing which we will discuss in the working section. The penetration means what? This is your solar cell. The light, the solar radiation will interact with the front panel, that is the N-type silicon. How deep the solar light or solar radiation can penetrate, that is your penetration depth. And according to the application usage of solar cell, you need the maximum penetration possible throughout the solar cell. So that is the one scientific criteria which you need to maintain while you are fabricating the solar cell. Now, this penetration depends. What are the parameters on which we have to be dependent? Number one is the wavelength, that is nothing but the frequency, and the absorption coefficient increases as the wavelength decreases. See, the wavelength is very important phenomenon. The absorption coefficient increases as the wavelength decreases. So, this is the scientific criteria which you have to maintain while the fabrication of solar cell. If we look at the working, how the solar light, when it will interact with your design or fabricated solar cell, that means the N-type material, P-type material, how this solar cell will work when the photon radiation will incident on it. So the basic mechanism on which we are going to see this whole phenomenon is known as the EHP, that is the electron hole pair recombination. So that is the most important criteria. Electron hole pairs are mainly created in the depletion region, where the depletion region lies just above the P-type region, that is a P-type silicon. Okay, and due to the built-in potential and electric field, electrons move to the N region and holes to the P region, because the N-type region is made of negative charge carriers, and hence after the incidence of the photon radiation to the solar cell, there will be the transition of electrons to the N-type region and the holes that are also known as positive charges, so they will move to the P region. Moreover, when the external load is applied, in this figure you can see some external load is maintained, where the metallic coupling strips has also been utilized in order to maintain the load, which is the impedance also. So there is the electrons in the N-type region, positive holes, and this is the condition after the solar radiation has incident with this glass lens that you may have seen in the solar panel. So this is the pictorial representation of electrons and hole pairs recombination. Here you can see, when there is a long wavelength, it will directly penetrate to the P-type region in the hole region. If there is a medium wavelength, then it will be exhibited in the depletion region. Here you can see there is a depletion region. Okay, when there is a short wavelength of the incident solar radiation, it will not penetrate quite deeply and it will travel up to the N-type silicon region. So the amount of the medium wavelength which has been incident is the area of interest for solar cell applications. Now, here you can see the positive holes are likely to travel in the P-type region, that is known as a neutral region, neutral P region. Here, the negative electron is trying to travel towards the N-type, that is the negative region, or you can say electron region, neutral N region. And here, if these electron and holes, when they are interacting with each other, that is known as EHP, that is the electron hole pair. And this particular region where the drift and diffusion mechanisms are absent. Drift mechanism is possible for neutral N region. Diffusion is taking place towards neutral P region. And hence, when an external load is applied, the excess electrons travel through the load to recombine with the excess holes. The necessity amount, we know the capability of N-type and P-type up to certain level. But if the amount of capacity of electrons in the N-type is exceeded, what will happen? Similarly, on the other hand, when the P-type junction is heavily doped, or we can say fully doped for say. So at that time, the excess holes and excess electrons will interact with each other, and this interaction is very much important. Okay, so solar cell is nothing but your PN junction diode, and some external apparatus has been imported over it to design the particular solar cell. Here the depletion region width is also important, and this VOC is the V output current of voltage of output current, and the load is designed in such a way that it will maintain the capability, durability as well as the stability of solar cell particularly. Moreover, this is quite interesting. The shorter wavelengths which we have seen in the earlier picture, the shorter, medium and longer wavelengths. So for that, the shorter wavelengths, that means they have higher absorption coefficient. So this wavelength or the radiation with this wavelength will travel up to the P-type silicon junction, that is the bottom layer of your solar cell, are absorbed in the N region, and the longer wavelengths are absorbed in the bulk of the P region. Okay. Some of the electron hole pairs generated in these regions can also contribute to the current. That means in the P-type region as well as in the N-type region. Typically, these are the electron hole pairs that are generated within the minority carrier diffusion length, that is Le for electrons in the P side and LH for holes. This is the diffusion length which is very much important for electrons and holes. The amount of this length or the magnitude of this length should be designed in such a way that the maximum output of electric current, or you can say in terms of electric voltage, must be gained from the designed solar cell. So, carriers produced in this region can also diffuse, as we have seen in the P-type region, that diffusion mechanism was taking place. Moreover, the drift mechanism was also observed towards the N-type region. Can also diffuse into the depletion region and contribute to the current. Thus, the total width of the region, which region I am talking? I am only talking in terms of the depletion region, because it will be very much helpful to create electron and hole pairs. And after creation of this electron and hole pairs, we will be able to get some output of electric current. That means our area of interest will be only succeeded once these electron hole pairs are generated. So, contributes to the solar cell current, which is WD, that is the depletion width. Okay, the thickness, or you can say the width of the depletion layer is known as WD, plus the diffusion length of these electrons as well as the hole. Okay, where WD, as I mentioned earlier, it is your depletion width. The carriers are extracted by metal electrodes on other side. A finger electrode is used on the top to make the electrical contact. So, the metallic contact which you have seen in the construction of the solar cell, at that time I have not mentioned the advantage of that particular metallic electrode, but here I am clarifying that this was fabricated or this was designed to make the top to make the electrical contact, so that there is sufficient surface for light to penetrate. So maximum area of the glass surface will be utilized, but how to get the output of the solar cells creation, that is the electron hole pairs, once they are generated, they will stay inside unless and until we will not provide any output source to it. Okay, so in order to get the electricity from the solar cell, already the input is already done from the solar radiations, but how can we get the output? For that, we will have this metallic contact. So, this was the clear and detailed description for solar cell. Number one, I am recalling what we have done till now. Number one, we have studied the photovoltaic effect, that is the principle on which the solar cells are working. Number two, we have seen the construction, how the solar cell can be fabricated. So, it was a very simple silicon PN junction diode. After that, we have seen the working of the solar cell. So, the working is nothing but the electron and hole pairs recombination. So, this was all about the solar cell, and I hope that this particular topic is now clear in your mind, and I hope that you will learn this topic very interestingly because it is quite of interest for your GTU internal as well as external examination. So thank you for watching this video lecture, and if you have liked this video lecture, please share and subscribe to our channel Hasmukh Goswami College of Engineering. Once again, thank you.